Who would wish to listen in? Don't miss it.
Yes, thank you very much. Who is watching AHTV Sankara here? We're still continuing with the odds and we are counting a few days to graduation. We cannot talk about graduation and all these academic issues without, featuring a very big figure behind the leadership of such organizations. And with me here is the academic registrar of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, Madam Martha Joshua, and we are so glad to have you.
Thank you, Sankara.
Wow, we hit immediately. Mbarara University of Science and Technology apparently gets ranked second in Uganda, and the public opinion actually is attributing this to the medical faculty, the medical courses that we have. Is there any outstanding feature we have with this faculty?
Of course, it is not just the medical school that makes the Mbarara University stand out. All the other programs and the faculties do make the university stand out. However, Mbarara University of Science and Technology, when we started in 1989, we started with the medical school. We started with 43 MDCHB students. And so, yes, in a sense, because it is they are the pioneer faculty, and therefore it has built a lot of reputation around the medical school. However, we do have many other schools. We have the Faculty of Applied Science and Technology, where we have engineering programs. We have the Faculty of Science, where we have the science education programs. We have agriculture and interdisciplinary. We have computing and IT. So all those programs are under make the reputation of Mbarara University.
Wow, talking about the reputation, we are almost going for the 27th graduation of this same university. Over there, who has been watching, realized the Vice Chancellor saying we have had now the most big number of graduates compared to all the history. I do not know if we are actually looking at elevating from the second to the first. There are those key things that make us outstanding, and we hope that in the nearby future will be the first in Uganda, maybe
Of course, one of the things that makes a university stand out is the research component. And lately, Master has garnered a very good research ability. And because of that, our reputation is going higher and higher. But we also have a very good teaching component. The lecturers, the academic staff put a lot of time teaching our graduates. Our graduates do not go out there half-baked. They have really spent time teaching them. And that makes them hands-on graduates. So when they go out into the field, we have received a lot of feedback from employers that our graduates actually know what they are trained to do. So that puts us up.
Well, thank you very much. She talks teaching and learning and research and innovation as part of key drivers for Mbarara University. A few days from now we go for graduation. Maybe one last update on how prepared it should be.
Okay, we are very prepared for graduation come 24th, Saturday at 9 a.m. right behind this block. That is where we are going to have the graduation. Of course, because of COVID-19, we cannot host all the 1,269 graduates to be. However, we shall have only 200 persons in attendance. Of these, we shall have the PhD graduates, we shall have some master students, and then we shall also have undergraduate students, one per faculty. And we shall also have the politicians around, people from the religious affairs, sister universities around, but we shall not have more than 200 people. It is going to be broadcast live by AIT's TV. We are also going to have NBS broadcasting live. We shall also be followed live streaming on our Facebook page, Twitter, and YouTube. So we invite you to join us.
Well, that's true. We are talking about the 27th graduation that is coming in 4 days. One, I think I saw it somewhere in our comments recently, one asking whether actually we are most likely going to see two graduations this year. literally, I think there are some students who are finalizing in either September or October. There is that question: are we likely to have 2 graduations in this 2021?
Well, let's wait. We shall cross the bridge when we get there. Let's first complete this one, and then because what we do want is as soon as our students complete, we want to graduate them so they can get out into the field. So when that time comes, we shall let you know whether we shall have another one at the end of the year.
Okay, thank you very much, madam.
Thank you very much.
Well, like the Biburi Mount Sinai, she says, we are standing right there and we can see the promised land. We will be getting there. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for viewing. We continue.
Thank you so much.
As you can see, the Chancellor's procession is being led by the academic staff. The academic staff is preceded by the deans and directors of our different faculties and institutes, and the university officers, members of the University Council, and committee chairs, our Vice Chancellor and his deputies, and the Chancellor alongside the chief guest, the Honorable Minister of State for Health, and they are being led by the able UPDF band. I request that we continue to stay upstanding until after the anthems are sung. Dear Vice Chancellor, you're most welcome to the 27th Congregation of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Beside our Vice Chancellor is the Chairperson of the University Council, Dr. Warren Namara. You're most welcome. Our Mess Bearer, holding the symbol of authority of the Chancellor, and our dear Chancellor, Professor Charles Luanga Mark Olweny. We are very happy to see you once again. And the Honorable Minister of State for Health, our council members will sit to my left. The deans and directors will, the council members sit to my left. Where you, thank you. Our council members, you're seated to my left. the deans and directors proceed to the Chancellor's dais, and the university officers, the academic staff, sit to my left as well. I request that as the deans and directors take their seats, we prepare for the anthems, which will be led by the UPDF band. The Uganda National Anthem. Thank you very much, the UPDF band. We are going to have a prayer led by the Bishop of Western College Diocese, Right Reverend Dr. Fred Sheldon Mwesigwa. Reverend, you're most welcome. Thank you.
Ankole Diocese, not West Ankole. Psalms 136 verse 1, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good and his love endures forever. Precious loving Lord, we give thanks to you for this great day in the life of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. And above all, we give thanks to you for this great institution. Your word says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Thank you for the vision bearers for this great university and for the great contribution it is making. We give thanks to you for the Chancellor. We give thanks to you for the Vice Chancellor. We give thanks to you for the staff, non-teaching staff and Gold Group employees. Give thanks to you for all the stakeholders, the students, the University Governing Council, and all related structures that are helpful to the growth of this university. Above all, today we give thanks to you for those who will be successfully awarded with different achievements, Lord. What a journey this must have been for each one of them. Lord, we give thanks to you. And we pray that you bless us and guide us as we go through this function, that above all we shall see your hand in all this. Lord, you've always been on our side, even as a country, Lord, at a time when the whole world is shaking and worried about the coronavirus. Somehow you have been able to shelter us as a country. May that loving kindness continue to hover around us, Lord, so that we shall even overcome this COVID-19 pandemic. May you bless us that all will go well. And even for those who are listening in from wherever they are, who would have loved to be here, Lord, may you encourage them to know that, yes, they have achieved. Bless us. Let everything work out for the glory of your name. We thank you, we praise you, we honor you. Through Christ our Lord, we pray. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge and love of God and of his Son, Jesus Christ, and the blessing of God Almighty, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit be upon you all, be upon all the graduates, be upon all the key stakeholders, be upon our guest of honor, be upon the university, different organs. May that blessing be upon this country, be upon the President, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and all those who are in governing authority up to LC1 in this area. May that blessing be with you all now and always. Amen.
May I invite everybody to take your seats. The Chancellor will now constitute the 27th Congregation of Mbarara University of Science and Technology.
By virtue of the authority entrusted to me, I hereby constitute this congregation into an assembly of Mbarara University of Science and Technology.
Thank you very, very much. It's now my privilege and honor to invite our cherished and esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Celestine Oboa, to address the 27th Congregation of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir.
beg that you allow me to remove my mask, since I'm at least 3 feet away from the nearest person. Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, here represented by Honorable Joyce Moriko Kaduchu, the Chancellor of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, the Honorable Ministers present, Members of Parliament, members of Diplomatic Corps, the Chairman and the members of the University Council, Vice Chancellors of sister universities present, our distinguished religious leaders present, civic and local leaders, Deputy Vice Chancellors, members of Senate, teaching and non-teaching staff of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, parents, guardians, and sponsors, graduates, and students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Mbarara University of Science and Technology community, I would like to welcome you all to this 27th graduation ceremony of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. In particular, I would like to welcome the representative of government and our guest of honor, Honorable Dr. Joyce Moriko Kaduchu, State Minister for Health in charge of primary care. Thank you so much for gracing this graduation ceremony. Mr. Chancellor, sir, this 27th graduation ceremony is unique and exceptional in many ways, being the first virtual graduation ceremony to be conducted by this university. It has been a delayed graduation due to the ravages of COVID-19 pandemic, which did not only disrupt livelihoods as we know, but also education programs, delaying the 2019-2020 academic calendar. Nonetheless, we are proud of what we have achieved this far. Mr. Chancellor, sir, and guests of honor, allow me to recognize the exceptional leadership of His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni and his government for effectively containing the COVID-19 pandemic scourge in Uganda by establishing a national COVID task force. In the same vein, I am proud to report that here at Mbarara University of Science and Technology and Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital, we too constituted a COVID-19 task force team to fight the pandemic. This team worked selflessly, sacrificing a lot of time to service, and some of them got infected, but by the grace of God, recovered. But they did not give up. Please join me in thanking and recognizing the team leaders for the amazing and pandemic prevention and control in this region. I will take a brief moment to read the names of the leaders of this task force, and I will ask them to stand up for recognition. Dr. Celestine Barije, Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital Director and the overall administrator of the task force. He is standing there. Thank you so much, Dr. Barije. Dr. Rose Muindo, the head of the COVID task force and the treatment unit. She must still be cooking for Dennis. Mr. Peter Okele Odeke, Principal Administrator and Administrator of the Workforce as a whole. Thank you so much. Dr. Elias Kumbakumba, Deputy Head Task Force and in charge of screening. Dr. Francis Oriokot, Chairperson, Infection Prevention Control. Dr. Stephen Tendo, Head of ICU and Critical Care. Dr. Francis Mugabe, Head Surveillance and Community Health. Dr. Badru Kayongo, Head of Home-Based COVID-19 Care. Sister Medol Gasumuni, the Nursing Officer in charge of the COVID-19 unit. Mr. Edgar Mujizi, in charge of transportation. Mr. Stephen Ralph Wanok, Head of Laboratory Services. And Mr. John Innocent Muhereza, Head of Security and SOP Observation. You may sit. While others may say you were but doing what you were trained for, we know that even in war, it is those soldiers who go to the front line who face the bullets and bombs, and it is through their zeal and bravery that victory is guaranteed. We are truly grateful for your services and sacrifices. We thank you abundantly. Your recognition medals will be awarded later during this function. We intend to give them recognition medals. Despite the unusual year of 2020 that was beset by COVID-19 pandemic, I must nonetheless commend the graduates for their patience and perseverance, the teachers and the supervisors for their unwavering commitment to complete the delayed academic calendar. No amount of words can express the appreciation I, as your Vice Chancellor, towards this historic feat. Mr. Chancellor, sir, you have always reminded us of the three roles of the university academic: that of teaching, research, and service to the community. In teaching, we can report we have done exceedingly well, as will be seen by the numbers of the graduates today. In research, MAS has steadily continued to increase and expand her grants portfolio through the increased number of grant applications and winning them. I will re-echo your words to say to all MAS academics that do not tire of writing grants. Such efforts should become your second nature. When you succeed, you will grow as an individual. But certainly, Mbarara University of Science and Technology will grow with you. Furthermore, Mbarara University of Science and Technology is steadily growing with the developments of new programs and state-of-the-art equipment, hence better teaching and research facilities. No doubt attracting more students joining the university for quality education. All these have been made possible through financial support from the government of Uganda and other funders. But I must also commend the commitment of our teaching and non-teaching staff, who amidst difficult situations have continued to work together as a team, making it possible to provide a suitable and conducive learning environment. Join me in thanking these people. Additionally, several Mbarara University of Science and Technology staff have pursued their PhDs and Masters, some of whom are going to be awarded today through various financial support mechanisms. For example, the Ministry of Education via the African Development Bank funded HEST project that provided funds for staff development, the government scholarship to undergraduate students, the State Out Scholarship to undergraduate students, the government loan scheme to undergraduate students, and some funders like the MGH Global Health Collaborative, the CEDA bilateral support to Uganda, where the main recipient was Makerere University, FAWE, Mastercard Foundation, Father Bash Foundation, a local foundation here at Mbarara. Farm BioTrack, a World Bank funded program, and the Ministry of Health, to mention but a few. These have played a big role in supporting our students, and our prayer is that they never cease to support our students. Today, we celebrate and congratulate the Department of Emergency Medicine for graduating their pioneer graduates in the Masters of Medical Emergency. It's a program that received tremendous support from the African Inland Mission in the person of Dr. Derek Harbon, who I think is there. Could you stand up for recognition for initiating this program? And we also celebrate the Department of Biomedical Engineering, which is in this faculty where we are today, who will also be graduating the first cohort of undergraduates of Bachelor of Biomedical Engineering. We congratulate both departments. Mr. Chancellor, sir, we have a new Students' Guild. And this time round, and for the second time in the history of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, we have a female guild president in the name of Ms. Miriam Ikulet Arikosi. Could you stand up for recognition? And you could also stand up with any of your cabinet members if they're there for recognition. Well, through COVID, we have kept them out. Guild President Ikulet's government has begun on a good note, working very closely with the university management, and we recognize and appreciate your leadership and wish you success as the Guild. Still with students, the Foundation of African Medical Students Association was hosted by Mbarara University Medical Students Association. This is after 26 years since it was last hosted by Makerere University. The conference was both physical and virtual. 5 countries were represented physically, while the others were online. The government was represented by none other than our guest of honor today, Dr. Joyce Moriko Kaduchu, who is also a MAST alumnus. So we are proud of your achievements, Dr. Moriko. She delivered a message from His Excellency the President where he pledged support to the Federation of Medical Students Association worth 10 million Uganda shillings. We thank His Excellency for that. Last but not least, it's to you, our graduates, both the virtual ones and the physical ones here. I know and trust that you have the necessary knowledge, attitude, and professional ethics to serve this country from any community and from anywhere you will be. Since your training has been community-based, you have been trained in the real world of work, and that is why your services are much sought after by potential employers. I invite and implore you to follow the footsteps of those who have gone before you. Your publicity is because of those who have gone before you. And employers are happy with products from Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Be positive in your life. Most importantly, your ideas and ideals to change the world. But above all, always be thankful and grateful to your parents, your benefactors, and sponsors for the sacrifices they made to make you rich today and propelling you into tomorrow. We cannot forget to thank God for what He has done for each of you. Also be thankful to your teachers and supervisors. Remember that they walked with you, mentored you unwaveringly during your academic pilgrimage. Mbarara University of Science and Technology loves you and will always remember you as our alumni, and we also wish you well. Finally, dear graduates, if you should wish to forget everything that I have said, please remember this, that to get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. And so stay clear of your comfort zones, because it will make you stagnant. You'll never grow. Once again, I congratulate you all. Succeed we must, for God and my country. Before I sit, Mr. Chancellor, sir, allow me to recognize a few dignitaries who are here, present. Among the dignitaries I can see there, if I forget the name, the one who has said a prayer for us, Dr. Sheldon Mwesigwa, Bishop of Ankole Diocese. Thank you so much for always standing with us. The Canon Reverend, where is he? Okay, this is now helpful, because I was Kosakoving, those of you who know medicine. So let me start again. So Bishop Dr. Fred Sheldon Mwesigwa, Bishop of Ankole Diocese and Chancellor of Bishop Stewart University. Thank you for being with us. Mr. Lumu Emmanuel, Cow of Mbarara City. Oh, sorry, Utamo University. Who is this? Dr. Okwadi, Jim Tukey, also Utamo University. Thank you for being with us. Professor Mwesigwa Nsingwi from Ankole Western University. And last but not least, the spouses and parents of the PhD graduates who are present here today. Thank you for coming. Last but not least, the university has a management council. And we have our chairperson of Mbarara University Council, Dr. Warren Namara. Could you stand for recognition? Council members, could you all stand up? I will run through the names as quickly as possible. The vice chairperson of council, Dr. Nicholas Kamara. Would you just wave? Mr. Moses Opio Gal is the chair of Finance and Development Committee of Council. I want the externals first. Madam Jolie Uzamokunda, who also represents the Ministry of Education. She is the Commissioner of Education, but also a member of Council. Could you wave, please? Madam Sarah Mwaka, Nyacho Mwaka, also a member of Council. Could you wave, please? She's chair of the Students' Welfare Committee. Then we have academic staff who are members of Council. Dean, Faculty of Medicine, Dr. Gertrude Kiwanoka. Would you wave? She is an associate professor in the Faculty of Medicine. Then we also have Associate Professor Robert Bitariho, who is also a member of Council. Is there any member of Council of me? Oh, he decided not to sit with us. Dr. Stephen Kisaka, also a member of Council from Makerere University, representing government. And the other members includes my deputies who are here, Professor Nixon Kamakama and Associate Professor Charles Tushabomwe Kazoba, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration. If I have missed anybody else, it is the deans who are going to be introduced by the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic Affairs when he calls them. But I ask you all to recognize them. Deans, you just stand up so that you're recognized. Thank you so much for the work that you've done. Today's ceremony is a result of your hard work, your colleagues in the faculty, and we thank you most abundantly. With that, I wish us a wonderful function. May God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, for that heartwarming and inspirational speech. Yes, on this auspicious occasion, we continue to extend a very special welcome to our chief guest, Honorable Joyce Moliku Kaduku. Welcome back home. It's a joy to see you here on this auspicious occasion. We extend our voice, that of the Vice Chancellor, to welcome the Right Reverend Dr. Sheldon Mwesigwa, Bishop of Ankole Diocese and Chancellor of Bishop Stewart University. Thank you for gracing on this occasion. We welcome Reverend Father Peter Reilly, Chaplain Mbarara University, Reverend Justus Molokole, Chaplain Mbarara University, Dr. Celestine Barije, Director Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital, Professor Mauda Mugisha Kamatenes, Vice Chancellor Bishop Stewart University, and the other dignitaries that the Vice Chancellor recognized. Thank you for gracing this occasion. Yes, it is true, COVID has changed the order of things in this world, but one thing has not been changed in the career of our graduates. That has been their potential, and that's why we are here to congratulate and celebrate their accomplishments. Mr. Chancellor, sir, it's now my distinct honor and privilege to invite you to address the 27th Congregation of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, and thereafter invite the guest of honor to address us. Mr. Chancellor, sir.
The guest of honor and Minister of Higher Education, represented by Honorable Joyce Moriku Kaduchu, Honorable Ministers, Members of Parliament, Members of the Diplomatic Corps, Vice Chancellor Professor Celestine Obua, Chairman of Governing Council Dr. Warren Namara, Vice Chancellors of sister universities, religious leaders present, civic and local leaders, members of Senate, the university management team, the university teaching and non-teaching staff, parents, guardians, and sponsors, graduates, soon-to-be graduates, student leaders, invited guests here present, and those attending virtually, ladies and gentlemen. Today is yet another special day in the history of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, as we witness the 27th graduation ceremony. I am aware that the university lost several members of staff and some lost their loved ones. In that regard, I would like us to observe a moment of silence in respect for all those who did not make it to this day. May their souls rest in eternal peace. I was installed as the 4th Chancellor of Mbarara University of Science and Technology by His Excellency the President of Uganda in his capacity as visitor on the 28th of October 2017. In my capacity as Chancellor, I wish first and foremost to welcome the guest of honor at this function. We appreciate the work, guidance of Governing Council under the able leadership of Dr. Warren Namara, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Celestino Bua, and his management team, the staff and students of MAST. Allow me also to express our appreciation for the support and guidance from the Ministry of Education and Sports. Mbarara University of Science and Technology was established on the 28th of October 1989 by the MAST Statute of 1989. The statute was repealed and replaced by the Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions Act of 2001. MAST has grown from a single medical and health science faculty university with an undergraduate student population of 43, and 6 staff members, to now 6 faculties and 2 institutes with a student population of over 5,000 and over 540 faculty members. The 2 institutes are the Institute of Tropical Forest Conservation, based in Bwindi Impenetrable National Park, and the Institute of Maternal, Newborn, and Child Health. I am reliably informed that the total number of graduates is the highest ever, with a total of 1,269 compared to the 26th graduation that graduated 1,031 graduates. The most notable achievement being the number of PhD graduates, which stands at 24, and that is more than double the number at the last graduation, which was only 11. I therefore heartily congratulate the graduates, their teachers, and supervisors for the historical and monumental achievement in the history of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. The role of a university includes teaching, research, and community engagement. Those who have read or browsed through the MAST annual report of 2019 must be impressed by the number and diversity of publications which underscore the commitment and dedication to research by the university community. From 2017 to 2019, close to 500 research papers have been published with a mean of 160 publications every year. I congratulate the academic research team and appeal to you to maintain that drive. It is my firm belief that MAST has not stopped growing. By the results of the graduate research, we have been able to increase the number of graduates at postgraduate levels. Importantly, this will not have been possible without deliberate infusion of funds to support research, although I am aware that some were self-sponsored candidates. The impact of coronavirus cannot be overlooked and underestimated. Most institutions of higher learning have moved to virtual learning to virtual learning mode, and now virtual graduation. In the 1990s, distance learning was looked down upon, but it's now the key mode of learning and service delivery by most institutions, and MUST is no exception. Virtual learning is now the new normal. MUST has continued to look for opportunities. In particular, it is particularly pleasing to note that MUST is one of the universities in Uganda, besides Makerere University, that have been selected by UNESCO with the support from China Fund in Trust Phase 3. Project titled Higher Technical Education in Africa for Technical Innovative Workforce. That MUST was endorsed by the Ministry of Education and Sports and is an indication of our importance and relevance to higher education in Uganda. In addition, the 12-year Institutional University Cooperation grant titled The University as a Facilitator for Community-Based Sustainable Solution in Demographic Challenges in Southwestern Uganda by Vliros in Belgium. The program focuses on most at-risk populations, in particular with Vijay University in Brussels and other Flemish institutions. We note with appreciation that the project grant will build capacity in MUST and community and its partners through a number of PhDs and master's training and short innovative courses. I would like to sincerely commend Associate Professor Charles Tushabomwe Kazoba and his team for the successful grant application. Locally, I am informed that MUST has also won a grant from the Private Sector Foundation of Uganda aimed at skilling young graduates and the community. This grant was spearheaded by Professor Nixon Kamukama. I congratulate all graduates, soon to be graduates, for the hard work and commitment to their various study programs despite the COVID-19 lockdown. As I've always done, I wish to remind you that learning never ends. A close friend of mine stated that it actually ends 2 hours after death. And when I asked him why 2 hours after death, he responded that you need 2 hours to ascertain whether you are going to heaven or to hell. I therefore appeal to you all to collect applications for your next diploma, master's, or doctoral degree soon after this graduation. I wish you all great success in your life. Remember the core values you embrace, namely excellence, innovation or innovativeness, professionalism, teamwork, and respect for diversity, and maintain them wherever you will end up working. As a university, I trust We have empowered you with the necessary knowledge and skills to face the challenges the world over. Succeed we must, and I say this for God and my country. It's now my honor and privilege to invite the guest of honor to address this congregation.
The Chancellor of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, other colleagues who might be following us virtually, the honorable ministers, the Vice Chancellor of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, members of Parliament, members of Diplomatic Corps, the Chairman of University Council and all the members present, the Vice Chancellors of other sister universities, our religious leaders present here, civic and local leaders, the Deputy Vice Chancellors, members of Senate, teaching and non-teaching staff of Mbarara University, our dear parents, guardians, and sponsors, the graduates and other students present, distinguished guests in your various capacities, media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. I also recognize all those who are following us up virtually. Mr. Chancellor, I bring you all warm and cordial greetings from Government of Uganda and most especially from the Minister of Education and Sports, Honorable Janet Museveni, and the First Lady, who could not make it here physically, but she's following this graduation ceremony online. She greets all of you, and she passed her warm congratulations to all of you, most especially the graduates of today. Mr. Chancellor, it's right and fitting, and indeed it is relevant, that the Minister of Education and the First Lady delegated me to represent the ministry right at this graduation function. I have indeed come back home to my roots. This is the university that has given me the power and authority to be a medical doctor. And I am proud of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. And of course, being a former lecturer at one of the universities, it's indeed right and fitting that I represent the Minister of Education right here today. So, Mr. Chancellor, I'm so excited to be here. And I wish at this moment to deliver the message of the Minister for this very important ceremony. Today marks a landmine in the history of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. This is a day when mass graduates Mbarara University graduates the highest number of students, both at undergraduate level and at postgraduate levels. Really, this shows that the NRM government did not go wrong in establishing this university as the second public university. But importantly, right from the origin of this university, it's a university of science and technology. At this note, allow me really to appreciate His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda for this great investment in Mbarara University. And of course, the background is appropriate technology innovation that offers solution to local relevant social and societal problems. Mr. Chancellor, I take this honor and opportunity to commend you for the exemplary leadership and the stewardship of MAST, which has been seen as an ever-growing institution that is worth the name it deserves. Your able leadership, Mr. Chancellor, has trickled down to the University Council and the management as well. And at this point in time, allow me to appreciate and congratulate you, Mr. Chancellor, the University Council, and the entire management of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. As the Ministry of Education and Sports, we've seen the fruits of your hard work through the outstanding innovation, research, and publication that have been won internationally and nationally. One of which was an outstanding innovation by Dr. Waswa William on an automated low-cost digital microscope slide scanner that was used for the diagnosis of cervical cancer from smear images. This is an innovation that was recognized during the Second World Health Organization African Health Forum in March 2019 in Cape Verde. I therefore congratulate you, Mr. Dr. Waswa and MAST, for putting in such an intellectual performance that has gone into international map. To you, the graduates, you chose to be part and parcel of MAST, a giant in science, technology, and innovation. This makes you join the long list of the celebrated alumni, and it's upon each and every one of you to raise the mantle of the university by being the very exact image of what the university has fashioned you, mentored you to be. Today is probably one of the most important days in your lives when you graduate and obtain various degrees and diplomas. I therefore urge you not to look back, as a say by Janet Napolitano. You don't go to university so you can punch a clock. You go to the university so that you can be in a position to make a difference in our society. That difference you can make, it begins with you and right now as you graduate. I want to emphasize, you have to go out to the world and make a difference in our society. And on that note, I congratulate each and every one of you that have really, really done wonders. You defy all odds to make it on this graduation list, despite all the trials that came along your way, that came along your education journey. You went through a lot of trials, not to forget even COVID-19 did not block your way. You overcame all those trials in the same way. Allow me to emphasize the issue of attitude. And for those who are graduating from Bachelors of Medicine and Surgery, I wish to remind you of the medical ethics and professionalism as you go out to practice. And to all the graduates, please, do not look for jobs. Make yourself relevant and create one and make a difference in the lives of our people. In a special way, I extend my appreciation to everyone that has made a hand in ensuring that you made it today to this day. Your parents, your guardians, your benefactors, the teachers, the mentors, the supervisors, and all the university staff. They have made you what you are today, and I really want to thank them and appreciate the roles they have played in your life. Mbarara University of Science and Technology has set her standards, and this is eventually seen throughout her alumni who have greatly impacted the community. Alumni ranging from the leaders, the researchers, innovators, and the scientists. As a Ministry of Education and Sports, we are proud and we take pride in the fruits of MAST. I congratulate you, Mr. Vice Chancellor, and your management team for steering the university amidst the many challenges during the last 1 year. Above all, the COVID-19 pandemic. I thank the university administration for managing and controlling the pandemic outbreak in the university, and within Mbarara as a whole. In a special way, I thank the frontliners who have played a big role in compacting the fight against the pandemic. At this point in time, I wish to add my voice to that of the Chancellor to condole with you for all those you've lost during the pandemic, those in the university student staff, in a special way, Dr. Peter Simbo, a dermatologist, that is a brand cadre which is not easy to replace, and many other staff members who have passed on. Those who have played a big role in MAST, and it may not be easy for the university to fill the gap. We pray that the Almighty God may receive their souls in eternal peace. Mr. Chancellor, of recent, there has been a lot of unrest at public universities. There's been lots of strikes. Some of them are silent strikes. Others have been low-level strikes among university staff and university students. At this point in time, Mr. Chancellor, universities being higher institutions of learning, we want to implore the staff and the student to use intellectual means to solve conflict, to be exemplary to other institutions, especially the lower institutions. Government of Uganda has prioritized science staff as one of the key top priority in government agenda. And this has been overemphasized by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. The issue of better pay for scientists has been in the top agenda of our government. And I wish in a special way, Mr. Chancellor, to emphasize that government of Uganda holds Mbarara University very dear as the University of Science and Technology. And as such, through the Ministry of Education and Sports, government pledges full support for better pay and staff promotion and development when funds become available. On its part, government has been consistent in ensuring a suitable living wage for university staff compared to other civil servants. We will continue to collaborate with relevant ministries, especially Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, to support and promote more research and innovations. As I conclude, Mr. Chancellor, I once again take this opportunity to congratulate all graduates. I wish to thank all your parents once again, sponsors, for shining with MAST on this very historical day. MAST has registered a great milestone that we are seeing the achievement today. As I conclude, most of the teaching institutions, especially health training institutions, have become a hotspot for COVID-19 as we enter the second wave for coronavirus in Uganda. I therefore wish to appeal to the medical students, to the students' body, and to all those health training institutions. As you do your learning and practice and teaching within the hospital state, you need to stay alert. Keep social distancing, keep your face masks constant, and ensure hand hygiene. We do not want to see once again health training institutions becoming a hotspot place for the spread of COVID-19. Remember, you are handling patients on the ward. That will be a big disaster for us as a country if we continue registering COVID increment in teaching institutions. And I wish to congratulate the Guild President and her team. I wish to congratulate you and I wish you the best of luck in your term of office. For all of you, stay focused in whatever you have set to do, most especially the graduates, and the rewards are lifetime fulfillment of your dreams. Mr. Chancellor, once again, I appreciate this opportunity given to me by the First Lady, and I'm really excited to be here today with all of you. I thank you, and I say all this for God and my country.
Join me to give a round of applause to the Minister for that inspirational speech. Thank you very, very much, Honorable Minister. Mr. Chancellor, sir, in our midst is the Reverend Dr. Canon Kagume, Deputy Executive Director, National Council for Higher Education. Stand up for recognition. We also want to welcome in our midst His Lordship Robert Mugabe, locally known as Kachebezi, Mayor Mbarara City. Thank you for gracing this occasion. Also want to welcome in our midst Mr. Paulo Turiahebwa from the University of St. Joseph Mbarara. Thank you for gracing this occasion. Mr. Chancellor, we have over 1,000 graduates who are virtually present at this graduation via NBS television. We thank NBS. Eyite online television run by Ronald Chabe, our own. Some of the university handles like Facebook and Twitter, and all these are ready to receive their various conferments and awards. At this juncture, I invite the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of Academic Affairs to invite the Deans to present the graduates. Professor Nixon Kamukama.
Thank you, JB. Mr. Chancellor, sir, allow me to invite deans of faculty to present to you the names of graduates who have satisfied the requirements for the conferment of degrees and award of diplomas on Mbarara University of Science and Technology. We are beginning with Faculty of Business and Management Sciences, and the rest of the deans will follow the order as provided in the graduation handbook. Over to you, Dean, Faculty of Business.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have successfully completed all the requirements for the conferment of the Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Ahabiona Faith Mujisha. Ahabiona Faith Mujisha did a research study on credit facilitation decisions for financial performance, the case of agricultural cooperatives in Kamwenje and Shema districts in Uganda. She was supervised by Professor Jude T. Rubega of Nkumba University and Associate Professor Martha Chibuka Musoke of Uganda Technology and Management University, Wutamu, and she was self-sponsored. Aupar Caucus Wilfred did a research study on change management practices and performance of selected local governments in eastern Uganda. He was supervised by Dr. Willy Ngaka of Makerere University and Reverend Father Professor Epifane Picho Odubuka from Muni University, and he was also self-sponsored. Byaruhanga Aloysius did a research on contractor selection, monitoring, and performance of road construction projects in Uganda. He was supervised by Professor Benon C. Basheka from Kawara University, Dr. Lev Kabagambe from Makerere University Business School, and Dr. Medard Pinamasko from Mbarara University of Science and Technology. He was self-sponsored. Robega Yiga Bareke Joseph did a research study on financing advantage, price discrimination, transaction costs, and trade credit supply among manufacturing firms in Uganda. He was supervised by Professor Benon Basheka from Kawari University, Professor Seresu Moy, University of Limpopo, South Africa, and Dr. Frederick Nsambu Kijambu from Mbarara University of Science and Technology. He was self-sponsored. Bernard Muchibi did a research on human resource management practices and performance of small-scale enterprises in Uganda. He was supervised by Dr. Willy Ngaka from Makerere University and Reverend Father Professor Epifane Pincho Odubuka from Muni University. Bernard Muchibi was self-sponsored. Nabasa Habat did a research on artisanal gold mining and the welfare of miners in Buheju and Mubende districts in Uganda. Nabasa Habat was supervised by Reverend Father Professor Epifane Pincho Odbaka from Muni University and Dr. Willy Ngaka of Makerere University. Nabasa Habat was self-sponsored. Nabacha Sarah did her research study on promotions, information asymmetry, and consumer usage behavior of traditional medicine users in central Uganda. She was supervised by Professor Nixon Kamukama from Mbarara University of Science and Technology and Dr. Nsambu Kijambu Frederick from Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Another Chancellor was sponsored by ADB Must Haste Project. Nagaba Nixon did a research study on time-based manufacturing practices and performance of small and medium factories in Uganda. Nagaba Nixon was supervised by Dr. Ayibare Dan from Chambogo University and Professor Sereso Moy from University of Limpopo, South Africa, and Nagaba Nixon was self-sponsored.
By the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. By the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Aloysius, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Joseph, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Bernard, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Herbert, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Sarah, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Take off your cap. Nixon, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology.
Faculty of Interdisciplinary Studies. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have successfully completed all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Kemisha B. Prudence. Kemisha did research on women, land rights, and household food security in Bushenyi District, Uganda. She was supervised by Dr. Stella B. Chohirwe from Uganda Management Institute. She was sponsored by the German Academic Exchange Service, DAD. Mbabazi Peace Mwesije. Mbabazi did research on household gender relations in access to agriculture extension services for improved farmer livelihood. The case of the first NADS beneficiary households in Kabare district. She was supervised by Associate Professor Charles Chaumwe-Kazowa from Mbarara University and Associate Professor Godfrey Biasimwe from Makerere University. She was sponsored by MAST under Staff Training and Development. Rwanjire Milton. Rwanjire did research on integrating indigenous agricultural knowledge into modern agricultural practices for sustainable household food security in Uganda. He was supervised by Professor Robert Skemrisa from MAST, and he funded his own studies. Twinamasko Speciosa. Twinamasko did research on oil discovery and land compensation, risks and vulnerabilities to women's livelihoods, and agency in Albertine Grabbing, Uganda. She was supervised by Professor Katja Whitman from the Institute of African Studies in Germany, and Dr. Frank Ayimsiwe from Mbarara. She was sponsored by the German Academic Exchange Service, DAD.
Prudence, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Peace, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Milton, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Speciosa, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of philosophy, Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Andrew Glory Mutewa. Mutewa's PhD work was chemical characterization and property-based structural modification of potential anti-cancer drug leads from Eichhornia craspis, commonly known as water hyacinth. He was supervised by Dr. Duncan Sesazi of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, Dr. Kennedy Ngwira of University of Witwatersrand, South Africa, and Professor Fanuel Lampiao of the University of Malawi. This work was funded by the World Bank through FarmBioTrack and the Wellcome Trust. Izudi Jonathan. Jonathan's PhD work was tuberculosis sputum smear completion and treatment success rate in the Teso region, rural eastern Uganda. He was supervised by Dr. Francis Bajunire of MAST and Dr. Imelda Tamwesigire, also of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. This work was funded by the German Academic Exchange Services, DAAD. Serawit Deino Chorito. Serawit's work was titled Antibacterial Effect and Safety of Extracts from Echinops kebericho mesfin tuber. He was supervised by Dr. Paul Alele of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, Dr. Joel Bazira of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, and Professor Eyasu Makonnen of Addis Ababa University, Ethiopia. Wakida Edith. Wakida's work was barriers and facilitators to the integration of mental health services into primary health care, a case study of Mbarara District, southwestern Uganda. This work was supervised by Dr. Elialilia S. Okello of Mwanza Intervention Trials Unit in Tanzania, Professor Zora M. Talib of California University, USA, and Dr. Roscoe Kasuja of Makerere University, Kampala. This work was funded by CEDA and Makerere University bilateral program.
Andrew, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Jonathan, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Dano, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Edith, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology.
Faculty of Science. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy on Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Ahmad Fitzgerald. Ahmad's research was on Tungiaceaceae predisposing factors and evaluation of methanolic plant extracts for potential Tunga penetrance control in Busoga sub-region, eastern Uganda. He was supervised by Associate Professor Julius Leju from Mbarara University of Science and Technology and Dr. Andama Morgan from Muni University. His research was supported by the African Development Bank through the Higher Education for Science and Technology. Aol Sharon. Aol's research was on irregular plasma densities and scintillation at low latitudes, the case of satellites and ground-based stations. Aol was supervised by Associate Professor Jurua Edward from Mbarara University of Science and Technology and Dr. Burchard Stefan from the Swedish Institute of Space Physics based in Sweden. Her research was supported by the International Space Program through the CEDA-funded initiative. Habumgisa Isaac. Habumgisa's research was on modeling peculiar plasma structures in accretion disks around magnetized neurons or neutron stars. Habumgisa was supervised by Associate Professor Edward Jurua from Mbarara University of Science and Technology and the Associate Professor Solomon Tesma from Ethiopian Space Science and Associate Professor Simon K. Anguma from Muni University. His research was supported by the East African Astronomical Research Network, also through CEDA-funded project. Javierimana Valens. Javierimana's research was on modeling the total electron content and the vertical E and and bee drifts over the African low altitude region. Habimana was supervised by Dr. Patrick Mungufeni, who was formerly from Mbarara University of Science and Technology, but currently has moved to Muni University, and Dr. Bosco Habarulema from South African National Space Science. His research was supported by the African Development Bank through the Higher Education for Science and Technology. Muhech Priscilla. Muhechi's research was on searching for coronal mass ejections on M stars, a potential threat to terrestrial planet habitability. Muhech was supervised by Associate Professor Edward Jirua from Mbarara University of Science and Technology, and Dr. Ik Gwena from German University, and also Dr. Tom Mutavaz from Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Muhech was supported by the International Space Science Project, which was funded through SIDA, or Swedish International Development Agency. Nachintu Justin. Nachintu's research was on the jackfruit, varieties, nutritional content, and utilization in Uganda. Justin was supervised by Associate Professor Julius Leju from Mbarara University of Science and Technology, Dr. Andama Morgan from Muni University, and Dr. Eunice Olet from Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Justin's research was supported by the German Exchange Program, DAD. Ndugu Nelson. Ndugu's research was on gas giant planet formation via pebble accretion. Ndugu was supervised by Associate Professor Edward Jirua from Mbarara University of Science and Technology, Dr. Bertram Beach from German Astronomical Institute, then Dr. Alessandro Mobidelli from Observatory Center in France. Ndugu's research was supported by the International Space Program through the SIDA, or the Swedish International Development Agency. And Dr. Wembo, I beg your pardon, Wembo Ndio Oscar. Wembo's research was on freshwater mollusks of the Congo River Basin, evolution by geography and biodiversity. Wembo was supervised by Professor Kankonda Alido Busanga from Kisangani University in Congo, DRC, Professor Christian Albrecht from Lisbik University in Germany, and the Associate Professor Grace Kagoro from Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Wembo's research was supported by Conservation Action Research Network, CAN.
Gerald, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Sharon, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Isaac, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. violence, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Priscilla, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Justin, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Okay. Thank you. Nelson, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Oscar, by the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Science in Information Systems of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Agmenitwe Patrick, Asimwe Moses, Sekabira Henry, and Tusasirwe Charity. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Science in Health Information Technology of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Ajeru Comfort Sion, Endasho Amasaru Merese, Euzobi Dennis Peace, Gemikish Merikam Negasa, Jack Gitonga Mongera, Mabiriz Vincent, Matthias Tekrajini Wandimageni, Mugabirwe Beatrice, and Tumusime Besje Albert.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduate who has satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Medicine in Anesthesia of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Alum Rachel Aguma. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Medicine in Dermatology of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Hassan Mohammed Sayed, Masanta Evans Bosire, and Uwase Sada. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduate who has satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Medicine in Ear, Nose, and Throat of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abdi Fatah Hassan Mohammed. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Medicine in Emergency Medicine of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Bagonza Kenneth Daniel, Chizito Mary Priska, Naluja Linda Grace, Odaka Atieno Justin, and Opejo Pius. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Medicine in General Surgery of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abade Jamal Mohammed, Ekoroi John Robert, Izimba Daniel, Khalid Isaac Hassan, Mohanji Bosco, and Odongo Charles Newton. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Medicine in Internal Medicine of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abdirahman Ali Araye, Kimweri Davis, Mosana Emmanuel, and Oboya Paul Stephen. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Medicine in Obstetrics and Gynecology of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Atosa Sivahichayo Sylvie, Bahati Johnson, Kusolo Isaac Wamboko, Maisaba M. James, Muhindo Mweru, Okelo James, Oraganise Asifas, Sudi Ali Mohammed, Tibejuka Livan, Tugume Rogers, Twesgomwe Godfrey, and Zainab Osman Ahmed. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Medicine in Ophthalmology of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Kambale Motanga, Kwagatedi, Lakolo Nana Hotense, Zangomba Pamela, and Wiyafe Geoffrey Mfatsoke. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Medicine in Pediatrics and Child Health of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Zalwango Stella. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduate who has satisfied all the requirements for the degree of Master of Medicine in Pathology of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, Mitala Yekosani. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Medicine in Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, Bale Doroth Nakuya, Lubega William, and Tegete Francis Fortune. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduate who has satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Medicine in Radiology of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, Kaneza Divine. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Nursing Science in Critical Care Nursing of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Alobo Jennifer Ogwang, Atukwase Joseph, Jalia Nakandi Selwada, Komgabe Penina, Nagaba Rita, Ninsima Brenda, Tuliasi Ngura Jonah, Were Fion A. Oluch. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Medical Laboratory Science of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abalinda Mary Goret, Mbama Angelo Bindu, Mwesije Vincent, and Nakakande Regina. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduate who has satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Science in Microbiology of Mbarara University of Science and Technology, Turugura Joseph. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Public Health of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Ampire Isaac Petit, Ampumuza Nadith, Atwine Flavia, Bewayo Victor, Kabageni Stella, Kamkama Prosper, Chiza Dominic Katerega, and Nalukwago Hawa.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have successfully completed all the requirements for the degree of Master of Business Administration of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Akawo Mary, Aporo Tumusime, Arnitwe Innocent, Arnitwe Lojas, Aimbisiwe John Baptist, Atuhire Kwe Ann, Atuhire Noela, Atujuchere John Bosco, Atuanjire Samuel, Biargawa Joseph, Biens Lev, Kamujisha Donant, Katsime Precious, Chiza Mark, Chiza Patricia Justin, Chokunda Anat, Ruchambuzi Alexander, Bazira Sar, Mugweri Derek Rek, Mhangazi Andrew, Muhez David, Mwebembezi Lev, Mwesije Dennis, Natkunda Fiona, Ndaru Monique Immaculate, Ngatu John Mary, Ninsima Charlotte, Noembabazi Janice, Sebare Moses, Tujiramasiko Miriam, Tugume Ronald, Turiamhachi Nicholas, Tuyobaze Crescencio, Tuyobaze Julius, and Tumtuinomujin Francis.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have successfully completed all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Arts in Conflict Analysis and Inclusive Development of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Ashaba Patricia, Asimwe Bruno, Bakore Yarire Elioda, Mhanguzi Kriopan, and Shamwezi Abel Minani. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have successfully completed all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Arts in Development Studies of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Ahawe Makrin, Inanhizo Irene Gloria, Karunji Christine, Anahurira C. Sharom, Yakato Kreya. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have successfully completed all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Arts in Local Governance and Planning of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Ahabwe Sara Twinomhanji Isaac.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Science in Biology of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Arinaito Seriano, Lamara Richo, Lukubye Ben, Makuru Robert, Nantumbe Sara, Tamale Denison, Tumuhimbise Melon, and Mukisa Wilbur. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the Master of Science in Chemistry of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Ahimbisiwe Oliver, Katenta Joseph, Mulogi Derek, and Musumba Godfrey. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the degree of Master of Science in Mathematics of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Bulemu Ibrahim, Muhumuza Raymond, Rukundo Isaac, Soroen Ben, and Yiga Victor. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Science in Physics of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Vivino Bernard, Mnyesheka Albert, Murunkwere Beatrice, and Wanjala Jimmy Beatrice, and Nabende. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Education in Curriculum and Instruction of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Arishaba Emily. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Education in Educational Administration and Planning of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Atukunda Winnie, Barinaitwe Stephen, Katinisa Davita, Mumbere Samuel, Mutebi Hahim Comrade, Mwesigwa I.K. Jackson, Natugumia Venancio, Tuyamureva Dennis, Tusime Poebe, and Tumebaze Geraldine. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduate who has satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Master of Education in Educational Psychology of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Ikatushabe Margaret.
By the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the respective master's degrees of Mbarara University of Science and Technology.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, the graduates of the health professions, medicine, medical laboratory science, nursing science, pharmacy, and physiotherapy science, they took their mandatory professional oaths in a physical ceremony which took place on Wednesday this week as a prerequisite for them to be presented to you for conferment of their respective degrees. So I'll go ahead and present them to you. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abaho Benjamin, Aineruhanga Christopher, Akampurira Alan, Akelo Immaculate, Akol Lucy Okelo, Ankunda Shanita, Asasira Gloria, Ashemeza Raymond, Asimwe Wilbur, Atim Hamza, Bahati Felix, Batejerize Hilary, Bogere Patrick, Bulaga Dennis, Boyagera James, Dega Ismail, Elamo Daniel, Gimono Martha, Gumoshabe Lucia, Isabide Eric Lindan, Kabango Abiola Adil, Kabenge Sylvester, Kagolo Dennis, Kaitesi Halima, Kalema Simon, Kamwami Geoffrey, Kasaga Martin, Kasekende David Rogers, Kasozi Boni Eric, Katende Ivan, Kawesi Francisco, Chibanda Daphne, Kidambire Emmanuel, Chiraga Ivan, Chitandwe Stewart Damascus, Komontale Veronica, Kule Joas, Kwagala Joseph Kazimba, Chomka Maada, Lubega Joshua, Mbeine Alan, Mpongano Perez, Mobiru Moses, Muchunguzi Ambrose, Muhumuza Umar, Mutenyo Charity Kibone, Muwanguzi Ivan, Nabeta Job, Nabongo Samuel Joshua, Nachito Catherine, Nalmansi Kathy, Namugumya Maria Amanda, Namtebi Nashiba, Nankabirwa C. Rachel, Nansimbe Viola Edith, Nareba Mark, Natkunda Winnie, Ndagano Hana, Ndahura Ali, Ndiahebwa Boris, Ninshaba Jacob, Nsubuga David Gavin, Nwasima Ronald, Ochola Henry, Okirol David, Okuku David, Omolo Ouma Ronald, Opio Emmanuel, Oteno Ahabwe Mohanji Joel, Outa Charles Okelo, Oyen Both Eric, Rach Oscar Gunya, Ruhangura Simon, Sewira Elia, Sechito Melissa, Serubiri Dennis, Taebwa Amon, Tindi Mwebwa Stalin, Tugume Alex, Tukei Francis, Tumuhimbise Aston, 1 year Boniface, and Yiga Robert. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Pharmacy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abdirazak Abdi Aden, Ahewa Anthony, Shakie Kennedy, Ainebiona Calvin, Akankunda Bridget, Ali Abdullahi Mohammed, Amal Solomon Agre, Aurora Bob, Asimwe Anthony, Atkwase Collins, Atwine Bera, Ayol Lucky Henry, Baba Hanani, Bajire Jeremiah, Bwambale Seti, Biarugaba Moses, Cherotik Lola Kiprop, Chesuro Philip Malil, Draga Chomboni Daniel, Kamogisha Ezekiel, Kanyesi Jekoleb, Kapanga Muhammad, Karuhanga Francis, Katirebe Nathan, Katongole Mike, Katujira Lauben, Katusime Fiona, Kayanja Erasmus, Kiyini Zakiyu, Chomhendo Esteri, Mbazira Matthias, Mugumya Julius, Muhanji Richard, Mukisa Ivan Agati, Murunji Godwin, Nabayaza Angela, Nabiguo Edward, Nakalema Sharon Barbara, Nakaoko Florence, Nachuala Miriam Josephine, Nalubega Ruth Nabukenya, Namaweje Sumaya, Niwamanya Davis, Niwamanya Ivan Sasi, Odecha Michael, Opio Emmanuel Angoyal, Sebisalu Joel, Sebiala Ibrahim Twaha, Sempewa Chigongo Joshua, Serwanga Hamidu, Tumusime Bonex, Tumwagala Daniel Warwasa, Tumwebaze Marias, and Wamala Rogers Stephen.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the foreign graduates who have successfully completed all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Science in Procurement and Supply Chain Management of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abasa Init, Abasa Biona Penos, Ahawe Kato Aran, Ahewa Sonrik, Aireza Praise, Aimbisiwe Michael, Aimbisiwe Regan, Ahomuza Modern, Aizuka Sulaina, Ainebiona Onesimus, Ainomicha Maria Goret, Akankunda Christine, Ampire Linias, Amutire Catherine, Ankunda Diana, Ankunda Face, Azaumaku Fred, Arnite Nobat, Arnite Lojas, Aronda Shamaron, Ashaba Sharon, Asime Diana, Asime Joram, Asime Noe, Atabanjire Caroline, Atkwase Priscilla, Atsingwize Precious, Atwine Rona, Atwichire Esau, Ayebazwe Ambrose, Ayebazwe Ime, Aisigam Kama Prudence, Banasi Aida, Bataringa ya Aran, Bayowa Jina Sara, Besije Joseph, Birunji Charity, Besije Patience, Biamkama Abad, Kabera Ismail Sewanyana, Kakuru John, Kakuru Karib, Kamwine Shira, Karamaj Mark, Karans Gloria, Kato Ivan, Katunji Michael, Katshabe Barbara, Katshabe Charlotte, Katwes Evans, Kemitro Rachel, Chihondwa Robert, Chirabo Aaron, Chirunga Elizabeth, Komhanji Rusia, Kusima Pauline, Koyugura Daniel, Manera Fasha Gloria, Matovu Rodin, Mirembe Rita, Pumwire Shira, Mucha Edward, Mahanguz Agri, Mahanguz Isa. Muhirwe Praxeda, Mshemeza King James, Msimeta Damar, Msimeta Merisa, Msimeta Provia, Nawada Shakira, Nagasha Sandra, Nachimbugwe Sharifa, Namakora Jane Rose, Namanya Collins, Namara Danera, Nambos Grace, Namuga Prose, Namumba Fiona, Nankunda Lozrin, Nantanda Madina, Nasasara Shiba, Natwera Karen, Natkunda Patience, Natujuka Olivia, Nimsima Agnes, Nimsima Arnold, Nimsima Angelina, Nimsima Anita, Nimsima Joan Rukundo, Nimsima Meron, Nwaha Norman, Nwasima Hope, Nyebaze Emmanuel, Wakaragura Bonke, Rosbera Thanks God, Robajemera Raymond, Rukundo Anet, Sunday Power Brink, Semogere Murishid, Senyonjo Sharif, Tamareka Ambrose, Tashobia Joshua, Tumukunde Jeris, Tumarami Alex, Tumuzugusez, Tumwine Nobat, Turnawe Ronald, Turiasima Ereja, Tumsime Miriam, Singwire Agnes, and Twebaze Ivan.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abeja Eunice, Achiro Gloria, Akankunda Brenda, Akelo Florence, Akelo Priska Okuda, Akol Jonan Edward, Ampire Caroline, Anena Lucy, Ariho Amon, Ariku James Dradu, Arineitwe Geoffrey Bedan, Ario Juliet, Atire Solomon, Ayuro Martha Hope, Babilie Restituta, Bagaga Asman, Banatema Grace Menya, Baseke Bridget, Batuka Anet, Ezatiru Lucy, Gavamukulia Nabil, Nabugo Rebecca, Kaluya Rogers, Kamugisha Pidson, Karugaba Henry, Karunji Apofia, Kataike Karen, Chibumba Rogers, Chinyunyuzi Lucas, Chisa Scovia, Kugumisiriza Ruth, Kwaga Inid, Chamsanzi Jennifer, Chesubire Margaret, Chohire Irene, Lujazaina Brenda, Lukwago Salim, Mabonga Anna, Magandazi Douglas, Makohali Catherine, Makozi Henry Rogers, Masika Salama, Matama Nantale Damali, Matovu Patrick, Mpaulo Monica Diana, Muhawe Alex, Muhimbura Brian, Mokaye Florence, Muchala Claire, Munyweza Lonald, Musikoma Charles, Musimenta Joshua, Mwebaza Chwanka Allen, Mwesigwa Edward, Mwogeza Christine, Nalid Rita, Nabachwa Lilian, Nabatanzi Fahima Zaidi, Nabido Viola, Nabirie Esther, Nabulia Claire, Nabunje Juliet, Nagasuka Jeremiah, Nakachwa Maureen, Nakayenga Diana, Nachibuka Irene, Namaganda Rama, Namasule Loy, Namisambu Juliet Samona, Namkaya Lilian Patricia, Namlema Angela, Namumbia Fiona, Nanyiti Sharon, Nanyombi Caroline, Nanziri Winifred, Niwamanya Bluetooth, Nsoba Andrew, Nwahera Natasha, Nyakusimwa Chodro, Ochen Brian, Ofaso Daniel, Okei Norman, Omumwa Robert, Opio Mark, Soigi Juliet Mary, Seguja Rashid, Senkumba Richard, Tuonjerire, Doreen Kajina, Wasike Robert, Wazemba Nelson, and Werishe Fred. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Medicine in Physiotherapy of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abaho Anthony, Aguta Innocent, Awiru Donald, Ayore Kere Kabaya, Bale Henry, Dungu Saad Ibrahim, Kansime Ruth, Chitabona Valerie, Kuloba Isaac Brian, Mohereza Noah, Mwesigwati Gideon, Nangobi Stella Rachel, Niwahereza Koleb, Owehire Lucky Nandi, Semba Jo Pius, Taremwa Saison, and Tugume Imam.
Thank you. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates and our pioneer class who have successfully completed all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Biomedical Engineering of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Ahabwe Agnes Lynn, Bakamushanga Francis, Bira Macklin, Vidiom Misho Joshua, Bezimana Eugene, Wire Patience Nawire, Gomesereza Filipo, Ivanda Ismail, Kalugu Julius, Mulongo Lino, Ochom Joseph, Reb Shaka Edward, Tumwesije Herbert, and Yetise Mark.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Information Technology of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abasa Nyango Malaki, Abenacho Asma, Acheng Monique Opio, Achiro More, Adebuga Amidu, Agabirwe Rita, Akankwasa Samuna Viola, Amony Sandra, Ankunda Doreen, Ankunda Rachel, Opio Nora, Arinda Clever, Ariam Pumza Lauben, Ariatuha Ernest, Ayasigamukama Andrew, Ayoro Vivan, Babiesiza Aramanzan, Barunji Corin, Binomcha Bernard, Chelangat Vicky, Garanda Susan Caro, Jigasa Corneille, Gumisiriza Crescent, Gumisiriza Victor, Happy Dennis, Humranquine Peter, Kamont Collins, Kanoel Daffin, Kanyes Jefravia, Kanyomozi Emmanuel, Karuhanga Stephen, Chifunte Sian, Chigame Brisson, Chikwaro Stephen, Kobusinje Claire, Chabandiho Adera, Chakhire Farida, Chasimere Jennifer, Chomujisha Judith, Manina Derek, Mazira Harriet, Mugisa Kabaterine, Muhwezi Titus Rutembesa, Mujurizi Crispus, Mukarere Emma Sam, Muriwabyo Clovis, Musimwe Osbat, Mutatina Robert Fisher, Mutesi Rebecca, Muzamiru Sebulime, Mwambarita Anita, Mwanje Gilbert, Mwebembiz Eric, Mwesije Frank, Naivurunguti Eddie, Nakaryango Bridget, Nachibende Amina, Nachiyemba Mary, Narwega Judith, Narwega Sylvia, Nambazira Margaret, Nasasra Ofra, Natwijuka Pedison, Ndiabahika Ivan, Nidwitungo Elia, Nsubuga Mutebi Grace, Ntuma Elia, Nyande Paul Ntare, Ocheng Godwin, Odong Max, Ogwang Kundre James, Ojepa Christopher, Okao Norbert, Opobo Philemon, Sebrime Jude, Seguja Jimmy, Sekabira Sechibara Stewart, Tarema Marvin, Tayebwa Dickens, Tumwezere Innocent, Waigoro Timothy, Wetunga Esther, and Zakumumpa Rita.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the foreign graduates who have successfully completed all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Business Administration of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Agaba Erismas, Agaba Thompson, Agaba Wargaba Brian, Aisiwe Robert, Ahebga Disan, Ainomid Sharaki, Akampura Shira, Akankunda Masa, Akathebwa Griven, Akatura Sorm, Achisimre Brenda, Ampire Fortunate, Ankunda Sara, Atwire Agnes Birunji, Atwire Maureen, Atwire Sheida, Ankunda Kreya, Atwire Joseph, Atwijuka Amanda Arson, Ayebare Hilda, Ayebazibwe Win, Barinda Paulo, Birunji Elizabeth, Birunji Joaquin, Brejeya Aran, Businje Susan, Gordon Angel Akik, Gumusime Joan Sandra, Gumoshabe Arogias, Kabahuma Catherine, Kawishe Modrin, Kamuchisha Wycliffe, Kamsime Masias, Katwesije Augustus, Kemichisha Rita Pamela, Churunga Arita, Komkama Rosia, Champire Pamela, Choshabere Agnes, Mugabe Gordon, Mujisha Matthew, Mahanj Francis, Mushabe Samui, Musenero Edna, Dosai, Mutariebwa Daniel, Nabasa Gordon, na Imbisa Rita, na Singura Christine, na Twera Innocent, na Tumanya Hanson, na Tweta Enos, na Ibare Anita, Nimbo Shira, Nisima Ivas, Nwamane Diana, Nwembaba Nixon, Nwagaba Michael, Nwamanya Immaculate, Okuta Joseph, Ruhanantura Ian, Senyondo Ivan, Tarima Arbat, Tinomujuni Dorin, and Wayuswa Arvin Christopher. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the foreign graduates who have successfully completed all the requirements for a degree of Bachelor of Science in Accounting and Finance of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abasa Anthony, abenitwe Albert, abenitwe Sandra, ainemba was Patricia, ainombucha Adrien, akampura Ambrose, akampura Yvonne, akankunda Anita, akatumanya Darton, amanyire Mugisha, ampire Edson, ampera Corns, armwesi Gashira, arnitwe Edwig, arinda Charlotte, asimba Samantha, asimire Joy, asimwe Abias, asingwire Ediva, atuhire Daisy, atuhire Pamela, atuhire Shifra, atuhirwe Owen, atkwase Anthony, atkwase Jacobo, aturinda Regine, atwesije Felix, atinde Frank, ayamba Sandra, ayebare Elliot, bakawonga Janet, behangana William, biribwa Elizabeth, birungi Maurice, byamucha Arvin, byona nebye Ebo, enawo Steven, ichiriza Ime, arimangiza Jacqueline, kabandize Omega, kahwamu Andrew, karamuzi Karenzi Peter, kansime Corin Stephen, kansime Shera, katsime Evelyn, kazibwe Sulaiman, kemigisha Arson, kemigisha Esther, kemigisha Rebecca, kemigisha Rita, chibondwe Anthony Kisa, Chihembo Winfred, kobugabe Oliver, kushaba Adera, kutesa Elvis, chenkwanzi Rona, chomugasho Esther, chomugisha Idis, Mandela Julius, Masereka Godrive, Mbabu Esa, Muchunguzi Innocent, Mugisha John Mary Vian, Mahanji Cyprian, Mumbere Chance Isaac, Msimeta Morris, Msinguzi Tone, Mwanje Lawrence, Mwebare Marvin Trevor, Mwebembezi Bright, Mwesije Aisha, Nabakuru Justin, Namatovu Aisha, na Watuhamia Christine, na Watukunda Mase, na Watujuka Christine, na Iga Monique, Nduhura Paul, Yamusimanta Charlotte, Nisima Doreen, Nwarinda Christophe, Nshaba Christine, Ntare Ian, Nwamanya Agribat, Nwamanya Bruno, Nwamanya Martin Clinton, Nwarimpa Kreya, Nyangoma Mogorin, Atandeka Mujuni Erija, Rugasara Edson, Rukundo Meron, Saka Hakaram, Sari Habib, Sande Medad, Tirirwe Bruno, tukahebwa Marvin, tukamuhebwa Almeida, tukwatanise Enerson, tumuhirwe Immaculate, Sasire Gario, and Yesime Drake Owen.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Medical Laboratory Science of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abomgisha Innocent, Abonga Kepa Sempango, Acheng Francis, Akol Frederick, Adubango Wahab Kumakech, Ahumuza Daniel, Akatujuna Asumpricio, Akatukunda Maclean, Alinda Maclean, Amanya Peter, Amosu Emmanuel, Anyizati Xavier, Apecho Lozira Grace, Aurora Timothy, Asimire Prosi, Asimwe Abdulkadil, Asiki Stephen, Atugonza Andrew, Atwine Wycliffe, Atwanjire Davis, Babirie Justin, Bagena Nkubi Charles, Baguma Yosef, Bamwaira Ismail, Banyahana Julius, Bashija Bruno, Buluma Clementina Priska, Businge Emmanuel, Bwambale France, Biamkama John Brosco, Biamkama Pascal, Chebet Nelson, Dalia Maria Dauda Abdallah, Enyiko Bosco, Ewu Anthony, Eyul Ronald, Gubia Ibrahim, Isabirie Gideon, Kabazi Jonathan, Kabenge Joel, Kagongo Dennis, Kali Philemon, Kamuka Masera, Kamuli Peter, Karuhanga Naume Joyce, Kasuswa Sophia, Katongole Adinan, Kawesa Daniel Victor, Kaibanda Daniel, Kichoncho Jennifer, Kichoncho Patricia, Kiza Frank, Chirunda Jeremy Menya, Kisawe Tahira Aziza, Kisauzi Ivan, Chitaka Geoffrey, Chiwu Joseph, Chionga Rogers Tamzade, Chohire Letitia, Lujatoni, Luceda Tom, Mabonga Julius, Mawanda Gerald, Mirembe Rebecca, Mode Joseph, Mugisha Ezra, Mugumia Barnes, Muhanguzi Deus, Muhereza Dominic, Mukundane Victor, Mulaki Geoffrey, Mulungu Andrew, Mupere Elvis Simon, Musema Chizito, Musibika Faith Brenda, Musobo Dan, Mutasa Timothy, Mutale Wycliffe, Mwebeza Aaron, Nabuto Maria, Nagasha Charity, Nakabuye Ruth, Nakaketo Diana, Namboze Evelyn Angela, Nanteza Immaculate, Nsereko Rajabu, Nwagaba Edwin, Nwamanya Newton, Odongtu Miss Simon, Ogule Jacob, Okelo Agre Oroch, Okelo James L, Okengo Nicholas, Omara Sadrak, Onyango James, Opendi Charles, Opio Marvin Thomas, Opolot Andrew, Orikriza Agnes B, Orik Shaba Isaac, Owar John, Ruhanga Rio Robert, Rankindo Cleophas, Semakula Dennis, Semogabi David, Semunywa Henry Rogers, Segawa Alex, Teka Kwo Job, Tibenderana Lauben, Tumushabe Pidson, Tumwine Angela, Tumwine Eria, Tumwine Gerald, Turiamhachi Nelson, Tusabe Fred, Tuachire Rovens, Twebaze Innocent, Wamboza Andrew, Wanyibe Ndausan, Womsobozi Enoch, Yikita Derek, and Zawede Rachel. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Science in Pharmaceutical Sciences of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Apio Patricia Mystica, Asimwe Emmanuel, Atem Joseph Makwach, Ayebale Peter, Bafachi Kenneth, Bukusuba Samuel, Kabanyaka Pauline, Kagwa Emmanuel, Kantono Diana, Kavuo Judith Sifa, Chikwera Nono, Ronald Regan, Lutaya Solomon, Masolo Ali, Mugume Alex, Nansubuga Fariha, Ochen Jacob, Oneni Hile, Rubanga Kene Michael Opia, Sonia Kaul, Tumheire Charlotte, Wamukama Josephat, and Yawa Lily.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present you the following graduates who have successfully completed all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Science in Planning and Community Development of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abasa Caroline, Agaba Kenneth, Ahumza Jonathan Trevi, Ainembabaz Arson, Ainembabaz Madrin, Akankwasa Brian, Amanya Norman, Amanyire Irsa, Ampire Thatcher Margaret, Asimwe Brenda, Asingure Patience, Atuhire Monica, Atuhire Rita, Atuhire Robina, Atuhirwe Dorothy, Atukunda Shiba, Atukwase Daphne, Aturinda Helen, Atwine Christian, Baguma Henry, Bonabana Catherine, Biamisha Edson, Edidu Seme, Ijirampuhwe Nadine, Kakuhire Simon, Karunji Aturinde, Sime Marion, Kushemerwa Syria, Kutosa Alex, Chobutunji Fiona, Choshavre Sumaya, Matov Hamidu Dan, Mpirwe Ronald, Mugurisi Jesse, Murunji Pamela, Mwaka Geraldine, Nagasha Iris, Nakwaga Patience, Namubiri Joanita, Namuganza Zubada, Nankunda Charlotte, Nasasra Nabera, Natkwasa Koreta, Nduhuchire Nelson, Nimsima Srivia, Nkwanzi Joan, Nyakato Morin, Oshabarita, Rubihayo Evans, Rukunde Aaron, Tarema Isaac, Tashobia Edson, Tindimwebwa Anna, Tumwesje Crescent, Turinawe Shemera, Tusimire Desire, and Twahama Yowed. Mr. Chancellor, sir, allow me to present you the following who have successfully completed all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Planning and Community Development of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Twinamasko Edwin. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present you the following graduates who have successfully completed all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Science in Gender and Applied Women Health of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Aine Mbabas Flavia, Award Doreen, Birunji James, Jimono Maureen, Kabakari Brenda, Korjiondo Josephine, Chakunzre Mary, Mujenyi Lois Katunda, Namfugo Sara, Nachanzi Mary, Natasha Umuhoza Maria, Nayebare Susan, Ndongo Baraka, Noaman Robert, Tukahirwa Audia, and Tayebga Rachel. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present you the following graduates who have successfully completed all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, Livelihood and Farm Production of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Akandanoho Buster, Akundwe Sara, Asimwe Nimumanya, Bakashawaruhanga Mike, Kache Norin, Kawoya Hakim, Kasiwuzi Joseph Mrondo, Chiza George William, Kugonza Abraham, Natrinda Angrin, Ngumire Igan, Ninsima Ada, Nwahereza Joas, Otike Stephen, Semanyiro Julius, Turiamramia Sabbath, Sime Dennis, and Twes J. Wilbur.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Computer Science on Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Agaba Edith, Ainomugisha Hilary, Baharawe Christ Alain, Barenzi Philip, Basabose Imi, Bwamik Isaac, Biona Nebye Arosias, Kamoga Mahad, Kamkama Daphne, Chembo Barbara, Kukundakwe Moses, Mbabazi Alexander, Mujuruz Abdul Karim, Nakato Linet, Namubiri Sharon Agnes, Namugera Victoro, Namukombe Zainab Salim, Nyansharik Shira, Omerambe Julius, Onen George, Opio Patrick Okiror, Orena Ian, Rwebuga Umaru, Tashobia Israel, and Tumhairwe Aber. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering on Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Hakandinda Aber, Arinda Alex, Asimwe Justin, Byamatungo Jesse, Ewuchu Felix, Gamyuka Andrew Kagwa, Kwemboi Eric, Rubanga Stephen Felix, Matati Faizo, Muhanji Eudis, Mukwaya Edrin, Muangura Shafik, Nagai Shamim, Namerembe Fatuma, Nyende Nkutu Enoch, Tumwesje Johnson, and Tchemerirwe Peace.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the conferment of the degree of Bachelor of Science with Education on Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Agaba Cosmas, Agaba Darlington, Agaba Jonan, Agaba Kenneth, Ahereza Wamara Dennis, Ahisibwe Claire, Ahimbisibwe Dixon, Ahimbisibwe Edson, Ainebiona Christopher, Akantorana Becker, Akelo Maureen, Akem Kwene Gifte, Achatwine Joshua, Ainaito Joshua, Amanya Edison, Amanya Lameka, Ambayo Morris, Amenyi Emmanuel, Among Vicky, Ampurire Innocent, Ariho Silva, Asaya Patrick, Asimo Joshua, Asime Ronald Arthur, Atuhaire Price, Atukunda Shivan, Atuzayarirwe Maureen, Atwine Dixon, Balihabuka Wesley, Barunji Brenda, Yonjera Derek, Bukenya Kahim, Buluke Bright, Bambale Morris, Chemutos Tone, Daga Andrew, Emong Solomon, Galiwango Mark Rogers, Gubezere Rachel, Kabu Mugisha Lawrence, Kabahinda Fiona, Kabagoza Abbas, Kamugisha Isaac, Kanyerezi Kuzairu, Kasumba Marvin Vianney, Kato Emmanuel, Kamigisa Irene, Kauka Morris Andrew, Kiwazo Peter, Chibirige Henry Gerard, Chigundu Lawrence, Kiinji Ashraf, Kugonza Joseph, Kule Herbert, Kwizira Victor, Lucky Kenneth, Lutakome Juma, Mayeku Isaac, Mbuto Hanning, Mchunguzi Zaverio, Mugisa Elias, Mugisha Herbert, Muguzi Stuart, Muhereza Kirare, Mulinzi Tone, Musimenta Melon, Mutumba Mahad, Mutumwa Simon, Mwebembezi Tarasisio, Mwesigwa Peter, Nabimanya Ale, Nagaba Deus Dedit, Najinda Beatrice Nkalubo, Nagumia Bone, Nahabwe Ameline, I beg your pardon, Nahabwe Ameline, Nachiwala Aisha, Nachiwala Sarah, Nalube Shamim, Nalugwa Yudaya, Nadego Rachel, Nasasira Brian, Nasasira Ejibon, Nasasira Onesimus, Ninsima Gloria, Nitusime Gift, Niwa Zeirwe Octavius, Nuebiona Alleluia, Nuanje Plan, Nsumba Noman, Nuahereza Asaf, Nuaruho Asbat, Nyadoi Anna Teresa, Nyende Mariam Nangobi, Oboy Wilson, Ochan Isaac, Ochasen Ivan, Ochungi Villa, Ojera Kelvin, Okion Lazarus Peter, Omugenyi Silva, Onyala Victor, Onyango Felix Kijoki, Osieno Geoffrey, Rujumba Stephen, Rukundo Amon, Saddam Hussein Blackie, Sekabira Siraji, Sembatia Junior, Sendija Richard, Senjuva Crispus, Sebale George, Sekaja Samuel, Sekasamba David, Semanda Yosam, Sempala Ahamada, Sempija Alex, Sennono Wile, Senteza Jovan, Serunjoji Ivan, Talimalavasa Stephen, Tayeba Moses, Tendo Isaac, Tibaijuka Benjamin, Tumukunde Yaweri, Tura Miomwe Benedicto, Turinawe Javira, Turiamuhika Enot, Turiashava Melon, Tusimire Jackie Patience, Tinomugisha Fausta, Wada Daniel, Wakame Isaac, Wamala Lawrence, Wamani Fred, and Yiki Letibo Collins.
By the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the respective bachelor's degrees of Mbarara University of Science and Technology.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have successfully satisfied all the requirements for the award of the Diploma in Science Laboratory Technology of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Abaho Evans, Agavan Evanis, Aineviona Victor, Akankwasa Osbert, Alinde Louis Robert, Alowo Keti, Alunzi Pixe, Babire Miriam Ninsima, Businje Vanessa, Ishimwe Diana, Kalimbasa Abdu Karim, Kamusime Ambrose, Kansime Ronald, Kasada Ashraf, Kasolo William, Kazivira Musa, Kimumwe George, Kiteitwa Jenita, Mbazira Derek, Mpima Paul Regan, Musinguzi Brian Expedito, Mutiaba Derek K, Mwanga Nathan, Mwanguzi Isaac, Nabirio Aisha Kitimbo, Nakawala Mase, Nalukwata Jasin, Namanya Clovers, Nambobi Ibra, Namuiga Jen, Nanyijuka Isaac, Natukwera Scovia, Nuajira Smith, Nuahereza Jonan, Nuasasira Brenda, Odongo Hudson, Rugamba Brian, Sebuma Abdul, Sempala John, Serwanga Amis, Turi Bamwe Timoteo, Tuyo Mumazima Innocent, Waiswa Dennis, and Wanyana Bakia.
Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the award of the Diploma in Emergency Medicine for Emergency Care Practitioners of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Atwijukire Vincent, Birungi Jane Frances, Chiwewa Bobik, Muwaga Hannington, Nabatanzi Pauline, and Tukam Shaba Anacret. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I have the honor to present to you the following graduates who have satisfied all the requirements for the award of Advanced Diploma in Child and Adolescent Mental Health of Mbarara University of Science and Technology. Ainamani Herbert Elvis, Atugumye Aventino, Auma Sarah, Kakumba Ronald, Madaya Jackson, and Sayuni Prima Tugume.
By the authority entrusted to me, I congratulate all those whose names have been read on the award of the respective diplomas of Mbarara University of Science and Technology.
Thank you very much. I think that our graduates deserve a much more thunderous hand clap. Thank you, and on my behalf and on behalf of the university, we congratulate you on this wonderful achievement. Go forth and set the world on fire. Mr. Chancellor, sir, the Vice Chancellor communicated earlier that there are those who, while we were going into the lockdown, they were facing the pandemic head on. And may allow me invite the Vice Chancellor to award them a medal of recognition for their wonderful service to the university, to Mbarara District, to Southwestern Region, and to this, our nation. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir.
If I may ask the guest of honor to dress the heroes and the sheroes with the medals that we have dedicated towards the service that they have been giving to this country. We start with Dr. Bareje Celestine, the hospital director and the overall. Please, your work forward. Dr. Rose Muhindo, please come forward. Head of COVID Task Force. Mr. Okello, Peter Odeke, please come forward for on the neck. Yes. Please come forward. Please come forward. Time. Badru Kayongo, please come forward. Head of Home-Based COVID Care. Sister Gasumuni Medal, please come forward. The Senior Nursing Officer for the COVID-19 unit. Mr. Mujizi Edgar, who was the chief driver, the one who used to drive around with the sirens blaring. Mr. Wanok Stephen Ralph, Head of Laboratory Services, please come forward to receive your medal. And Mr. John Innocent Muhereza, please come forward to receive your medal. The others who are absent but will get their medals later, I will be the one awarding them. At my own time now is Dr. Kumba Kumba Elias, Dr. Orekod Francis, Dr. Tendo Stephen, and Dr. Mugabe Francis. We congratulate you. We most heartedly thank you for the services that you gave to this country, particularly the people from this region, those who were affected, those whom you prevented them from catching COVID-19 through your efforts. And after the medals, guest of honor and Chancellor, maybe you pose with them for a group photo, please, and the Chairman Council. Please quickly, we have 1 minute to do that.
Thank you very much.